How we doing today? You ready for some Q&A? Because I sure am. So let's dig into some questions around fitness, nutrition, and mindset. Let's go ahead and start off with a fitness question, all right? I might frame this one a little bit differently, but the question exactly as asked is, what do you do when you reach a maximum weight that you can lift? Do you focus entirely on increasing sets and reps at that weight indefinitely? Now, I think what this person is trying to explain is something called progressive overload. And it sounds like they've reached a maximum weight. Now, what I have to ask is, what weights are we talking about here? If we're talking about bicep curls, it's a very different thing than, let's say, doing deadlifts, all right? When we're doing a maximum weight on a compound lift where you can go very, very heavy, those being like bench press, dumbbell chest press, shoulder presses, squats, deadlifts, swings. Those are things that you can progress much, much, much higher to doing 100+ pounds. For things like arm exercises, like dumbbell curls and tricep extensions, there's gonna be a point to where your body just like, hey, like that's as much as we can do. I don't know many people that are curling 100-pound dumbbells. It's not a thing. All right. So when you get to that point, there are a couple different tactics that you can do to increase strength. Now, one of the things you can do is slow down, do what's called time under tension. Slow down the weight that you have. Learn to own that weight. So if you slow down the movement, you spend more time under tension and your body gets used to having that weight. So that's one way you can increase strength. Number two, you could also increase strength by doing what's called cluster sets. So you would choose a weight that you can do, let's say you find a weight that you can only do 2 reps, your 2-rep max. 1, 2, that's it. What you would do is you would do 1 rep, pause for 10 seconds. You'd rack it, you'd completely relax. Then you would do another rep, rest for 10 seconds, and then you would do 1 more rep. So what you did was you took something that you would normally do 2 reps back to back, and you did 3 total reps with that weight, giving you a little bit more oomph out of it. That's called a cluster set. Another thing that you can do to increase weight, because there's so many different things out there to increase weight, is change the exercise. I know it sounds kind of a little different, but changing the exercise is also another way that you can get stronger. So doing a different variation. For instance, let's say you're doing deadlifts, all right, and you're trying to increase your your sumo deadlift. Well, I would say do a few weeks of doing a trap bar deadlift. Change the type of deadlift that you're doing, and then you'll still be able to find, maybe you can do a little bit less weight with something, but it's harder for your body to do. Or you're able to do more weight of something that's a little bit easier for your body to do. Those moves will transfer over to the original move that you're trying to strengthen. So those are 3 different ways that you can increase strength: time under tension, cluster sets, and doing a variation of the exercise to strengthen that movement pattern, all right? So we also got to think in movement patterns. If we're doing a bench press, we got to think, hey, other things can strengthen that, like a weighted push-up, a dip, a dumbbell chest press. Those are all things that can help increase your bench press max strength. All right, next up here. All right. I haven't worked out in years. Is it too late to start strength training? No, it is never too late to start strength training. As long as you have the will, you have the discipline and the commitment to doing it and the why, you can start strength training. Does not matter what age you're at. I've had some people come in at 70 years old and they're beginning to strength train. Now it's a lot different compared to somebody that's starting off at 20 years old. Strength training is relative, okay? What could be strength training for somebody in their 70s might be a warm-up for somebody in their 20s. No, it is never too late to start strength training. Start today if you can. But if you aren't strength training, I highly recommend you begin as soon as possible. The longer you wait, the harder it does get. But there's not a window in your lifetime where it says, nope, You cannot strength train after the age of 50. That is not true. That is totally false. You can start strength training at any age. You just want to make sure that you're doing it properly. All right. Boom. What do we got next? Here we go, talking about bench. What is the correct form for bench pressing to avoid injuries on joints or shoulders altogether? First off, let me preface the bench press with this. Not everybody should be bench pressing with a straight bar. That simple, all right? Just because it's an exercise and it's there does not mean that you should be doing it. There are some people that do have some limited restrictions in their shoulders that are gonna stop them from doing that. What I would say is, depending on this, is take a couple weeks off from the bench press. All right, take a couple weeks off from pressing and see how it feels on your shoulder. If you can bench press with a pretty good amount of weight and your shoulder feels fine, good. Now, if you notice that you've been bench pressing for 6, 8, 12 or more weeks and you haven't taken any time off and you're starting to get some nagging issues in your shoulder, I would say decrease the weight, take a couple weeks off, and change it to an incline bench press variation. Having the angle at an incline makes it a lot easier on the shoulder than being here, all right? Now, I do have a video that discusses the bench press, and I'll put it right here in the links for you. Click that little video to be able to see it. But what I would say is when you're doing a bench press, a lot of people will go wide and they'll bring their elbows out wide like this. This puts a lot of pressure on the shoulders. What I suggest people do is bring their hands a little bit closer together so they're just outside shoulder width, grip the bar, and when you're gripping that bar, think about breaking it. Break that bar. Now, you can't really twist your hands like this, but what you can do is, boom, you can set your shoulders. So when you're holding onto that bar, think about having the elbow pit pointed up. So break that bar, sit your shoulders back, think about popping your chest up. As you lower, keep your elbows tucked, and the bar is gonna finish right here, right underneath the chest. Think about bar to nipples. From there, keep those knuckles up. We don't want the wrist pointed out like this. Punch, locking out those elbows at the top. That is going to be one of the best ways to save your shoulder for bench pressing, is making sure that your form is on point. Lighten the load, lighten up the weights if you need to, especially if you are going wide and you're used to a different style of bench pressing. But if your shoulders are hurting on the bench press, 3 things that you could do. Number 1, take some time off from the bench press, especially if you've been doing it for weeks on end. Number 2, change the angle. Go from a flat bench to an incline bench press. And number 3, polish up your form. Review your form. Watch a video. Make sure you're good. Do not let your ego get in the way. Just because you've been bench pressing for years doesn't mean you're a pro at bench pressing. If you've never had it assessed or looked at from somebody to say, hey man, your bench press is looking solid, go get it checked out. Those are 3 different tips you could do to make sure you're bench pressing pain-free for your shoulders. All right. I eat a lot of, this is a nutrition one. Let's go for nutrition here, okay? I eat a lot of my lunches out of a cooler in the car because I travel a lot for work. What recommendations do you have for good veggies I can pack in a cooler and eat in the car? Any vegetable that you can eat raw would be one that you could put in there. Now, what I say first is digestibility, all right? If I ate raw broccoli, I'm going to be bloated and farting every 5 to 10 minutes. So I will not eat raw broccoli. But there are people out there that can eat raw broccoli. And if you enjoy it, go eat raw broccoli. That's great. So digestibility comes first when choosing these fruits, when choosing those. All right. But realistically, any vegetable you could eat, as long as you can digest it and tolerate it raw. So I would start off first with digestible friendly ones and high water ones. So I would think cucumbers. You could peel off the skin if you want to. So cucumbers are going to be good there. Carrots are good. Tomatoes, cherry tomatoes are also really good too if you can tolerate nightshade vegetables. Celery, bell peppers, you can eat those like straight up. You can slice them up as well. Radishes, I already said carrots. Corn, you can do corn as well, although corn has a little more calories in it. It's technically a grain, not really a vegetable. Radishes are also really good too. I already said celery. Yeah, I mean, like, you don't want to be a rabbit that's chewing on lettuce all day. So vegetables are good. If you eat too many of them and they cause bloat and they cause indigestion, back off on some of the vegetables. I would also say supplement with fruits as well. Any fruit, you can pack any fruit you want to. I suggest starting with berries first and then working your way down the line from berries to any fruit you like, apples, bananas, oranges, kiwis, mangoes, pineapple, melons, anything. So whatever you can think of when it comes to fruit and vegetables that you could eat raw, throw it in there and eat it. As long as your body can digest it, bring those vegetables with you on the go for your lunch. All right, let's go. Next up here. All right, this is a good one. I'm worried about getting injured. How do you ensure strength training is safe for beginners? It depends on who you have around. Like if you're getting a program through, let's say you're getting an online program, all right? And you're getting a workout and nobody's there to check out your form, you're doing it yourself. Ideally, the person that's programming for you is giving you giving you exercises that are high benefit, low risk. We want high benefit, low risk strength exercises, especially as a beginner. We want to do as many of those as we can. We want to also find exercises that use the least amount of weight possible to still elicit some strength gains for you. So that could be a push-up. A push-up will do more benefits for you than, let's say, doing a chest press off the bat. Doing a split squat over a weighted squat is going to be much more beneficial and less risky for your legs. All right. Now, if you're starting off a strength training program and you have guidance from an actual person, they're going to be there to watch you. And let's say this is in a large group, so 20 to 30 people. So the coach is there, but they're not really there to pay attention to you. They're paying attention to the whole class. In that case, start light. Do not try to keep up with the rest of the class. Focus on yourself only. Don't try to keep up with the rest of the class. Choose weights that are lighter. And if you're doing exercise that's new for you, find the simplest way to do it and focus on that exercise. If something does not feel right, speak up and don't do it. Avoid it. It is not worth, trust me on this, it is not worth it to do the extra rep or to do an exercise and push through pain, because injuries will take your results and put them to a halt. So you want to make sure that you're doing your exercises correctly. So again, if something doesn't feel right, don't do it. Ask somebody, all right? Next, also, if you're in a setting where there is a coach and they have their eyes on you and they're watching you, giving you the form, just make sure that coach is good. Make sure that coach is listening to you. They're observing, and they're also hearing and reacting appropriately to you. If you say, hey, coach, this bothers my hip when I squat. If the coach says, shut up and keep going, fire that coach immediately. They need to learn a lesson. But if the coach responds and say, hey, what's going on with that hip? Tell me about it. And you're like, I'm feeling this pinch right here. And they say, hey, you know what? Let's try this instead. Or they say, hey, let's try this exercise. Let's reset your hip and then let's squat. If the pain is still there, we're going to change it up. But if the coach is listening to you and they respond positively to the concern that you have, keep with that coach. They have your best interest in mind. So that's how I would say, if you're worried about getting injured, start slow and build up from there. But also realize that you're going to have to get uncomfortable at some point. And it also is very valuable to pay a coach to be able to check out your form. All right. If you are an online one and you don't have somebody there, take a video and say, hey, coach, how am I doing here? All right. Take a video from the front and the side angle and have a coach assess it in real time. And they might give you some pointers on what you could do there. So that's how you can kind of get over the fear of injury when starting a strength training program as a beginner. Ask for help. Don't do things that cause any pain or cause issues. Start slow and build up from there. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get one more question here. Last question. How can I stay motivated and avoid quitting when life gets busy or I don't see results right away? That's a really good question. And that comes down to the work that you did to understand why you're doing this. The saying that everybody's heard before, remember your why. why are you starting to do something? When you attach the result that you're looking for to things that you value in life, you're much more likely to do the work required to get that result because it's attached to a value in your life. I'll give you an example. Fitness and health is one of my highest values. In fact, it's probably one of the highest values that I have. Because if I'm not fit, if I'm not healthy, then I will not show up as the best version of me. If I'm not fit and I'm not healthy, then I won't be able to train my clients as best as I can. If I'm not fit and I'm not healthy, I won't have the energy and be able to show up as the best husband I can for my wife. So I make sure that I train my body to be strong. I make sure that I eat the foods to be healthy and to maintain a certain amount of weight. Because fitness and health is such a high value for me. If you look at what you value, if you value family and being there for your family, but your behaviors are causing you to have health issues that could lead to like just an early death, or it can lead to something negative in the future, then you got to ask yourself, do I really value, are my behaviors lined up with my values? I value my family. I want to be there for the long time with my family. But if you're doing the things that are leading you to an early grave, then you most likely are valuing these things over you value your family. So get super crystal clear on your personal values and why you're doing the work to get the results you're looking for. That's going to keep you in this for the long haul. So get crystal clear on your personal values and attach the work and the result that you're doing in the gym to those personal values, and you will become unstoppable. All right, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching this week's episode of the Q&A. If you got any questions about fitness, nutrition, mindset, or anything in general, reach out. I'm here to help. So thank you for watching. Pass this on to a friend that you know can benefit from this. Remember to subscribe because these videos are coming out at least once a week. So stay tuned for more. Catch you later.